Warm welcome to Wonderland. In other words, the second section of the podcast under the topic of Alice in Wonderland. Most of you guys might already have known where Wonderland is, but in case that some might not, I will introduce you to the place full of fantasy under a rabbit hole. Wonderland is full of magical things like talking animals, talking flowers, an aggressive queen who is always in a red dress, and mushrooms that could make you grow tall as a giant or grow small as a little caterpillar. This girl is called Alice. She followed a strange-looking white rabbit and ended up falling into its hole to Wonderland. And that's how the story of Alice in Wonderland started. Alice in Wonderland was originally a novel for children written by Lewis Carroll. It was quite a famous novel among children, so it gets developed into an animation film in 1951 by Walt Disney. Then, in 2010, a new version of Alice in Wonderland was published. Now it wasn't an animated film, but a live-action one. Tim Burton, the director, turned Alice from a little innocent girl into a 19-year-old girl who tried to escape her problems and accidentally fell into Wonderland, though in this version the place was called Underland. Now you might already sense that there are gonna be differences between the two versions of the films, and there actually are. One standout difference is the idea of women's empowerment. Tim Burton decided to put some messages about several aspects of women's empowerment into the films, which totally turned a cute novel for children into a powerful film to support women. Up to this point, I've been referring a lot about the words women's empowerment. What it actually is. So, women's empowerment is the process of empowering women in several ways, such as political, economical, educational, psychological, and social way. The question is, why should we pay attention on empowering women? Let's go back to the past. Women back then seemed to have less priorities than men. Their rights were somehow limited, whether in politics, economics, social, or education. And some of those perceptions were also mentioned in Alice in Wonderland. And the live-action version portrayed clear messages of women in the past. As when Alice has questioned her mother about how women should be properly dressed after her mother criticized her for not wearing corsets and stockings. It means that women back then had to behave themselves following the norms of the society that had drawn for them. Also, when Alice was amused by her thought of women wearing trousers, but this guy here, Hamish, told her to keep her thought only in her mind. This shows the limitation of women's expression back then. Another example is when Alice's sister encouraged her to marry Hamish because he was a lord, she said. And she told Alice that women's faces wouldn't last forever. This shows that women back then gave significance to their appearances to attract men. So these are the ideas the film left to us about images of women back then. The next point is, in what ways does women's empowerment present in the story? Now it's time to find out the answer, so let's dig into the films and search out together. The first example showed us that women are the most powerful characters in the story. as in the live-action film, it apparently presented the role of women as leaders. The Red Queen, White Queen are the leaders of the land without the existence of any king, while in the animated version there was the presence of a king. The next evidence showed in the scene of choosing the Jabberwocky conqueror. Though there are several male characters in the film, Alice was the chosen conqueror to kill the dragon over all the male characters. Though the male characters volunteered themselves to fight, but the women's role was chosen to lead the war. While in the animated film, the Jabberwocky slaying scene was somehow omitted. The film shows the idea of women taking roles involved in politics and present to the audience that not only men could be leaders. So we can interpret that the society is trying to support significance of women in politics through the live-action Alice in Wonderland. The next empowerment is in an economical way. In the end of the animated Alice in Wonderland, Alice just woke up from her wild dream and just go back home to have tea, while in the final part of the live-action version, after Alice came back from Wonderland, she was given an opportunity to work with Hamid's father. The work about trading was supposed to be the work of men. However, Alice showed her wisdom, then got a work. She was finally able to continue her father's trading company and his intention to trade with other faraway countries, which everyone used to consider the idea nonsense. This represents the women's movement in the economy, when women could step out from the old norms of being wife and do no work and begin to do work that men were supposed to do. Now we have come to the last empowerment, which portrayed in a social way. There was a scene when Alice refused to marry Hamish, while women in the society saw that they should marry rich men in order to improve their social status. But Alice was individual enough and stood up constantly on her decision, though it seemingly was against the norm of society. This scene shows the movement that women could make and change the social institutions. But for the animated version, Alice was only a kid, so there was no proposal scene in it. And these are the ideas of women's empowerment in the film. Alice in Wonderland used to portray this as a film for children that the audience could easily enjoy and expand their imagination in the animated version in 1951. It seems like there was no serious message hidden in the film to be interpreted. However, the live action in 2010 disguised very powerful and contemporary messages in the film. We could see the different messages that the movies sent to us. The films have been developed from a normal animation for children into an empowering film for women. Finally, we could interpret it that the factor causing differences in the two versions of Alice in Wonderland is the fact that the society has been started to give significance in supporting women through several medias. In the past, women in the era were given less priority than men. They must be under the domination and were not able to freely represent their true selves. Whereas, in the present times, women are voicing equality and society shows more support on women empowering. Therefore, I would conclude that The live action version of Alice in Wonderland is the evidence of the positive tendency, and it could be a suitable media to promote women's empowerment. Equality is never a bad thing, and it's pleasurable to see a better sign in gender equality. I must say that I'm glad that society is beginning to acknowledge the significance of women more than it has been. And I wish to see a better future where women can magnificently stand tall and be worthily accepted in society as men do. For today, thank you for your attention and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.